right, folks. So we are in trade deadline season, right? Things are starting to ramp up. We're hearing Soto rumors, but we're starting to hear other things too. And I have a special guest with me. We're going to talk about it today. So I want to welcome Baddog Sports onto the channel. Baddog, what's going on, my man?
How you doing, Jason? Thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it. And as always, Yankee fans, let's go Yankees.
Let's go Yankees, man. Now, how you feeling? What's your take on the Benetendi trade? What do you think?
Benetendi is a guy that I wanted pretty early on. 320 hitter, left-handed. Doesn't need to have a lot of pop, but a contact hitter. It's something that we desperately need on this team, and he's a guy that can break up the right-handed hitters. You could bat him lead off like they did tonight against the Royals. Maybe you could bat him third some nights in between Judge and Stanton. It makes the lineup a lot longer if you're able to put him third or in Rizzo fifth or whatever. You have a lefty righty, and that certainly helps out. But I love the signing. I think Benetendi's 28 years old. He's right in the middle of his prime. It was a good move for the Yankees, in my opinion.
I think it adds some balance to the top of the lineup, and he pushes down the bottom of the lineup, which is clearly their weakest part, right? So to me, Joey Gallo's days are numbered. I'm hoping that, I don't know why Cashman has set such a high price for Joey Gallo in a trade. I'm not exactly sure why. I mean, just get the payroll relief and whatever fringe prospect you can get and keep it moving, my opinion. I mean, I like Joey Gallo's a nice guy, but it's just not working. You need to move on, right? Take it in the chin and just move on.
Yeah, nice guys finish last. I mean, Joey's a good guy. We're Italian guys, right? So we always want Joey to succeed, but unfortunately, he's not a very good hitter. He never has been a guy that hits for average. He's got a lot of holes in his swing, and unfortunately, when you come to New York, things like that get magnified. The fans expect you to perform here, and if you don't, you're going to hear it. It's not his fault, but New York's just not a good fit for Gallo, and I'm with you. Just move on from him and get what you can get. You got your outfielder now, and just let him go. I mean, he's a free agent next year anyway. What's the difference?
Yeah, and we have our upgrade now with Benetendi, so let's just figure out how to make it work and keep it moving. Maybe transition over to other holes that we need to fill, pitching, whatever else. I mean, what's your take on if you were to construct the rest of this this trade deadline for the Yankees? If you were the guy, the head guy, what would you do to complete this team?
So for me, Luis Castillo is the first name that pops off the page to me. I mean, he's a great pitcher, throws for the Reds, obviously, and he's got great stuff. We definitely need a number 1A guy or a solid number 2 to follow Cole, especially in a 5-game series. I mean, if you can avoid it, you don't want Tyone and Montgomery pitching in 5-game series. So if you had Cole and then Castillo, a lot of times they could pitch 3 out of the 5 games, or they could pitch, 4 out of the 7 games. You got a really good opportunity. Castillo is definitely a guy that I would look at. I think he's probably the best available pitcher on the market. You can never, ever have enough starting pitching. And, he might cost a top tier prospect, but listen, as Yankee fans, we know we haven't been in the World Series since 2009. It's hard to believe it's been 13 years, and we have a really good team. We have a legitimate chance, but they don't come along very often. So I'm an advocate, Jason, of if I know what I'm getting and I'm giving up a question mark, and I think that Castillo could put us over the top of winning World Series, I'm doing it. I know Peraza, I know Volpe. I'm not saying give up one of those guys, but to me, because I'm sure we'll talk about Juan Soto later and we'll get into those guys, I'd rather get the guy that I know what's bringing to the table as opposed to a guy that may be great 2-3 years down the road, and maybe he's not. When you have a chance to win a World Series, man, you got to do whatever it takes, especially in this town. It's been a long time, and fans are getting impatient.
Yeah, and we know the Mets are going to do what it takes, right? Uncle Steve's going to do whatever he has to do. And so are the Astros. They're going to come up with something. And to me, those are the 2 biggest roadblocks for the Yankees, the Astros and the Mets. And they frighten me. The Blue Jays frighten me a little too. Okay, but
you throw the Dodgers in there too. They're going to be active.
Oh, yeah, they'll be there too. They don't frighten me as much as the Mets do right now. They're just playing with tons of energy, a chip on their shoulder. They want to take over New York, and they've made it clear we have to not let that happen, right? And what do they need to do? Cashman's got to put on the big boy gloves. He made a good first move, but he's got to continue this, right? And I'm going for Luis Castillo too. I would like to try to add. I know they're in on Castillo and Montez. That's probably going to be very expensive. You can do it, do it, but. Castillo and someone like Martin Perez, who wouldn't cost as much, a righty-lefty thing. I would like to get 2 starters if I can, because like the other guys you mentioned, like Nestor Cortez, I love him, but I'm not sure how many innings he's going to go for. He's never thrown more than 93, right?
Yeah, he's already over 100 now. So yes, you're right. Yep.
So I mean, Severino, I think he'd be better suited for the bullpen, like a 2-inning just dart thrower for the rest of this year, right? Tyone, great game tonight, but then 4 bad ones. One great game. So he might be pitching his way out of an extension. I mean, you know what I mean? So if you can get a Castillo and a Perez, I'm putting those 2 guys behind Cole any day of the week, or Castillo and Montes, I'm putting them behind Cole any day of the week. That's a legit 3 right there.
Yeah, if you could go out and get 2 starting pitchers, I mean, that would be optimal. I mean, I like you said, it'd be really expensive.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Yankees could get both of those guys, but if they could, it'd be a dream come true. I also think we have to address middle relief. I mean, I think every team needs to address middle relief. The starters don't go nearly as long as they used to. Now, when you get into the playoffs, like I said, you could bring in a guy like Severino or Montgomery. They can give you some long relief. You could pretty much go with a second starter. If you had to go to them early on, they could give you some length. I really wouldn't want that. But any team's weakness, the underbelly of the bullpen is the middle relief. And if you're getting into that bullpen in the 5th and 6th inning, you got an opportunity, because obviously the better your relievers are, the later they pitch in the game. So, you know, there's a guy, we talk about Bednar. Bednar is going to cost a little bit more than I'd like. David Robertson's the guy for me. You know, David Robertson, I know he's not what he used to be, but he knows how to pitch in New York. He's been here. He knows what it takes. You can take great players, bring them to New York, and they fizzle. The lights are very bright here. Robertson knows how to handle that pressure. He's been in pennant races before. I think he was with us when we won the World Series in 2009. I could be wrong.
He was.
Yeah. Okay. So he knows what it takes to win the World Series. He'd be a really good clubhouse guy. And again, he's going to be cheap, but he gives you another arm. Obviously, we lost Chad Green. Loiza's coming off an injury. What happened to Michael King? That was terrible, because he was unbelievable. The back end of our pen with King and Holmes was amazing. But yeah, to me, we got the bat. I don't think we need any more bats, Jason. I think it needs to be all arms, whether that's 2 starters, a starter, and a middle reliever, something. I think we have to address the pitching. The batting does frustrate me. Like, it's frustrated me here against Kansas City, and we don't hit a lot. But at the same time, I think anytime you have pitching that can keep you in a game, you got a chance to win.
I couldn't agree more. And with regards to the batting, I think we're pretty much set now. I think Benetendi, I mean, he's that contact guy we needed. We have problems with hitting the runners in scoring position. He's fantastic in that area too. And if you put him at the top and then you DJ and then you judge or whatever, we're much better 1 through 6 than we were a week ago, right? Yes. And so I'll take that any day of the week. Now, they get another hitter, okay, fine, but I'm not banking on it. I would personally spend the resources now on pitching, right? And bullpen, like I said, Bednar would be the huge guy, but he would cost a ton of money. Barlow will cost a lot from the Royals, a little bit less than Bednar, but he's still going to cost a lot. So Robertson, like you said, he's reliable, he's healthy, he knows how to pitch in New York, period, right? You know, there's a couple other guys I could think of, like a Michael Fulmer, failed Stoller, who's like a good reliever now. And even if there's a chance you can maybe a Gregory Soto, who's the closer to the Tigers, he might be available. He'll cost a little bit of money, but won't cost as much as Bednar. Maybe you can get something like that, like a Soto and a Fulmer, and get one on each side, because you're right. I mean, the last thing I want to do is pitch Holmes out of order and then or overwork him, because we have a lack of options behind him, right in front of him. And that's my worry. You know, Wandy I like, but he's not Michael King. And unless we have a massive resurrection of Aroldis Chapman, he might not be in a postseason roster. Right. So Zach Britton, I'm not banking on him. Abreu's nice, but I like JP Sears. I like Clark Schmidt. They could be pieces, but then again, I want a proven major league reliever to come here. So I agree with you. David Robertson would be the perfect get for me. And if I could complement him with another guy, that would be good. I think two starters and 2 relievers would be ideal. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's what I would do. And since we didn't really give up anything for Benetendi, now we can kind of finagle and do some stuff around. And I know Castillo will be the big get. That's going to cost a lot. So, and we'll see what happens. But if there's a way they could do that, I'd feel a hell of a lot better about this trade deadline.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Because you can't have enough arms. You never can. Anytime you can get as deep as you can, as far as your pitching rotation, the starting depth and in the bullpen, you have a better chance to win. I mean, you're looking at the Royals game, and they're playing right now as we record this. It's 0-0 and till the 9th, you know, and Yankees can't score any runs, but the pitching pretty much all year has kept them in a lot of these games. They've won a lot of close games. Obviously the offense, you know, it's streaky. I mean, and that's what happens when you got guys that hit home runs, because it's hard to hit home runs. But when you got guys banging it out of the park and you're scoring 17 runs in one game, they look unstoppable. But then you go through these stretches where they don't. They face a really good pitcher and you have to manufacture runs. It's tough to do that with a guy that hits 210, 212, 220, guys that don't make solid contact. It's hard to get guys on base. The best way to get to a pitcher is by getting men on base, making them throw pitches under pressure, making them work from the stretch. High leverage pitches take a lot out of a pitcher, especially early in the game. So getting a guy like Benetendi certainly helps. But the fact that our pitchers keep us in every game, the offense, it takes a little pressure off the offense, and then you just got to manufacture one or two, you can end up winning. So I definitely think pitching is extremely important.
I do too. And I think something for people to keep in mind, because I'm hearing a lot of frustrated people already. What's going on? Why is he not solved the Gallo puzzle? Benetendi hasn't even been here for a day. Anytime they have a hitter who's different than what their lineup is currently looks like, it's going to take a few days to kind of adapt and for them to get used to each other. I'm confident he'll be fine in a day or two. It's just an adjustment period. Anytime a new player comes to New York, there's always an adjustment period.
Yep.
And I'm not really worried about Andrew Benetendi. So I'm pretty confident our lineup's going to be fine. Yeah. And I think once we kind of get the pitching situation solved out, and I do think Cashman will make some moves. I'm pretty confident he'll get Castillo. I would love for him to break him during a live stream or something. I'd love to wake up tomorrow morning and say, he got Castillo.
Yes.
That would be phenomenal.
Yeah, the Benetendi thing kind of caught me off guard. Yeah, they just lost to the Mets. I streamed the game, and the next thing I know, I get an update on my phone. The Yankees got Benetendi. I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm like, nice. So yes, it would be nice to wake up tomorrow and say, hey, we ran on Luis Castillo too, because like I said, we definitely could use another starter.
Yeah, I think, and Jack Curry said it yesterday too. He said Cashman's not even close to being done. So I see him probably making another move or two and then waiting until the deadline to make some kind of sneaky trade like he did with Clay Holmes, or like one of those trades where all of us are going to be like, what?
Yeah, the Clay Holmes thing. I remember, I'm like, why? What did they get this guy for? He walks the ballpark. His whip is like 1.5. They know better than me.
Yeah,
Clay Holmes has been amazing. Been a godsend for us this year.
I remember so many people were running around with their hair on fire saying, we got rid of Hoyt Park. Oh my God. And then Clay Holmes, one of the best pitchers in baseball now.
Yes.
No worries at all. But it's like, you don't need to panic, guys. We'll be okay. I mean, he's legit. He's legit. Yes. So let's just get somebody behind him. So I hope they get the right guy. I think Cashman will do what he needs to do. I think that Benetendi kind of showed us, or at least showed me, that they're serious about going to the World Series. Otherwise,
yes, I agree. The fact that he made that move that early before the trade deadline, I think the same thing. Like he wants to get him in the lineup. He wants to get him going. He wants to get as many games of Benetendi out there as he can. They were talking on Yes Network today about, what are they going to do with this guy? And they're talking about what did Michael K call it? Like resting roulette or something. Yeah. I'm like, you don't need to do this. I'm like, when Stanton comes back, you got your outfield. It's Benetendi, Judge, is Stanton. Hicks sits on the bench. You get rid of Gallo. Third base is DJ LeMahieu. You put IKF at short. You put Gleyber at second. You put Matt Carpenter or Anthony Rizzo at first. Josh Johnson could take his worthless ass out of the lineup. I can't stand Josh Johnson. All we did was take a Gary Sanchez guy and we moved him to third. He can't field. He doesn't hustle. He freaking looked at a ball. He admired a ball that hit the top of the wall at Citi Field, almost got thrown out at second base. He's hitting 220. He's got 9 homers. He strikes out all the time. He botched over playing Boston. That cost us a game. He's not clutch. I got no faith in him. There's my rant on Josh Johnson, people. I can't stand the guy. So sit his ass on the bench. I don't care if he makes $25 million or what he makes. Do you want to win or not? It ain't about what the player gets paid. It's about the performance on the field. Sit on the bench, buddy.
Look what the Mets did. They ate Cano's contract to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Because it was a business decision. They need to open up that hole on the roster. That to me is balls. So it might be something for Cashman to try doing with a guy like Donaldson. Like the guy and stuff like that, just not working either, really. It's not
right.
Working.
IKF is our modern day version of Alvaro Espinosa. I say that all the time.
He's like a lot of the little things. He's not exceptional, Larry, but he stabilized the position. And that's what we needed. And then if whatever they do in the offseason is what they do in the offseason. He still has another year here. I'm fine with him, to be honest with you. And he brings speed and hustle. I like that dynamic. And I think Benetendi's the second guy that brings that now.
Yes.
So we have a little more feisty base runners, which I like.
Yeah.
Give the other RBI guys a chance to kind of create chaos in the base paths.
Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll happen. I couldn't agree more.
That's what I like about IKF. Again, he's not going to hit for home runs. We got enough home run hitters on this team. You don't need 1 through 9 to hit the ball out of the park. ICAP is giving you a 270 average, which is kind of what we thought he would. You thought he'd field a little better. I know he got off to a rough start in the field, but yeah, he hits 270, 275. He can bunt. You can hit and run with him. He steals bases. I think he leads the team in stolen bases. He does a lot of, he can bunt. He can do a lot of little fundamental things that you want your 8th or 9th place hitter to do. Advanced runners, makes contact. You can hit and run with him. Yeah, so I mean, I don't have a problem with ICAP. Obviously, Carlos Correa would have been fantastic because let's face it, Carlos Correa is one of the best shortstops in the league. But ICAP can be a placeholder. You know, the Red Sox won a World Series with freaking Orlando Cabrera playing short, and they traded Nomar Garciaparra. So it just tells you, you don't need a guy to hit 35 homers at shortstop to win a World Series.
You got that right. And one little insignificant fact of the day about IKF before we start giving our predictions. He is ranked 16th in baseball as of today with hitting with runners in scoring position. He's ahead of Trey Turner, Jose Ramirez. Not sexy, but he's 16th in all of baseball. The only Yankee ahead of him is Aaron Judge. So his value is there. It's not sexy, but it's there.
Right. I agree.
To me, that matters. That matters.
You know what, man? You need those type of players. Every World Series that we've won, well, since I can remember. I mean, I was a little young in 77 and 78. I was a couple years old in 78, so I don't remember that. But all the World Series that they won in the 90s, and well, not so much 2009, but 96 through 2000, their dynasty, they always had those guys that did the little things to win games. ICAP is one of those guys. Again, like you said, it's not sexy. If he has a sacrifice bunt, doesn't look great in the box score, but it's about winning games. It's not about statistics. The winning is the only statistic that matters in baseball. So if he does little things to help you win a game, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Now let's pivot over to our trade deadline predictions. Let's see I want people to get as many predictions as they possibly can get. And so this part I'm really looking forward to. And I think my predictions have changed over the last couple of weeks because of the evolution of teams, the teams dropping back, and it's just kind of evolving for me. So if you're ready to rock and roll, I'm going to throw some names at you and get your take.
Yep, go ahead.
Let me throw Wilson Contreras at you.
Honestly, the Mets.
Yeah.
I think Tomas Nido is not the guy. You know, there was talk about, the Yankees need Wilson Contreras. I'm like, why? Trevino is an all-star. We don't need Contreras to be a backup. But I think that he's going to end up with the Mets. The Mets need a solid backstop. He's that guy. And the Mets are going to make moves. Like you said, Steve Cohen isn't going to sit back in his hands. The Yankees just made a big deal. You know, Cohen's like, oh, now I got to count it. So a guy like Wilson Contreras, I could definitely see him going to the Mets. I think the Mets, the contenders are going to be very active. The Mets are going to get a lot of play. I think the Mets are going to go crazy because they also know they haven't won a World Series in 36 years. And like you said, they want to take over New York.
Yeah.
And they have a really, really good team this year, and they're going to compete for a World Series. So I definitely could see Wilson Contreras upgrading the Mets catching position.
They win the World Series, we'll never hear the end of it. I mean, seriously, we're just going to get
pounded. I was young when they won in '86, so I didn't have to listen to it much. But now I have to hear it a lot.
Yeah. Well, I have the Mets are my 1A, the Houston Nationals are my 1B.
Yep.
Contreras. Either one of those teams, I think, and he's, I think, the one catcher who can come in and not throw rotations rhythm out of whack.
Yep.
Come in and be a smooth transition.
Yeah.
So to me, either one of those teams, but the Mets are my front runners too.
Yep.
And I heard they're talking about a Contreras Robertson deal already with the Cubs, kind of in like preliminary stages. So I wouldn't be surprised if we wake up tomorrow and that happened.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah. So how about Frankie Montes?
That's tough. I mean, again, everybody's going to be going after arms. You know, Houston will be on Montes, I would imagine. I mean, you can name all the contenders. You can name the Dodgers, the Mets, the Astros, because you can never have enough starting pitching. Maybe look for the Padres. You know, the Padres are probably going to be active here too, or maybe the St. Louis Cardinals. It's hard to say who I think the front runner is because, again, I don't know like how good San Diego's rotation. I don't see Padres games out here, but you could see the top of the tier guys going after them. You could see those guys fighting for a wild card. Like, I don't think Baltimore will be very active, but it would be a nice story.
Yeah, they're on the
if
upside.
the Orioles could make a run at a wild card for their fans, but I don't see them being in on them. But I think Montez would stay on the West Coast. I could see him going to San Diego, perhaps strengthen that rotation a little bit, or like I said, man, Houston, because Houston already shuts down the Yankees, but if you have another strong arm out there that could shut down Yankee bats,
Yeah.
I definitely could see that happening too.
So I actually, I have an outlier. I haven't gone to Tampa Bay as part of a building block next year, like a 1-2 deal with Shane McClanahan. So just because I think they're going to punt on the season, right? And
Right.
Get Juan DeFranco healthy and blah blah blah. But to add a guy like that to start the season with them, I think they're going to, they'll say, look, we got these guys, and we're going to be much better than we were in 2022.
Yeah.
So I have them sneaking in and getting Montez, the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, that could be too.
Kind of an under radar acquisition, but I think it'd be the right the right move for them. What about Ian Happ?
Another guy, I think the Mets could be in on. I also think the Braves, because I think the Braves were in on Benetendi. They were not able to get him. So I could definitely see Ian Happ being an Atlanta Brave. If I had to pick a team that I thought he was going to go to, that I think will go after him, the Braves, again, they're right there with the Mets. They're defending champions. Obviously would love to go back to back, and they're fighting for a division. Got a big 5-game series with the Mets coming up next weekend. I mean, I'm a Yankee fan, but I'll be watching every one of those Mets Braves games, or at least keeping an eye on them, because it's a great series. But yeah, I think that the Braves might be able to get something done and bring Ian Happ to the Big A.
I think he's kind of the perfect role player. Like last trade deadline, they got these really good role players, like Soler and some of these other guys, and put them over the top. This guy's the perfect role player. He's not a superstar, but he's good enough to make a difference for them.
Yep.
And he'd be a perfect one too. I initially had him and Robertson going to the Yankees, but now that they got Benetendi, that's kind of changed. So he's either Atlanta or the Mets for me too. And I could see the Mets swooping and getting some guys that we didn't expect. And having just tons of depth for the Mets, tons of depth. So I could see that. Now, what about his teammate Robertson?
Well, I mean, Homer take the Yankees, man. I think he's coming back to the Yankees.
Yeah.
I really do. It would be awesome if we could get Chapman back to form. It would be great. But let's face it. I mean, no matter how, Chapman could be a complete lockdown, shutdown guy for the rest of the year. But Yankee fans, in the bottom of the 7th inning or the top of the 8th inning, whatever, the Yankees have a 1-run lead. They're leading 3-2 in game 6. They're behind 3 games to 2. Do you have any faith in Chapman? I don't. No. David Robertson, on the other hand, listen, like I said, he's been there. He knows the pressures of New York. He handled the pressures of New York. He knows what it takes to win here. And I don't think he'd be expensive. And I definitely think there would be a great move for the Yankees to go out and get Robertson. I also think the Mets will be on David Robertson, because their middle relief is not great either. And they could certainly use an upgrade there. But I do. I think David Robertson's going back to the Yankees. I have a feeling he's going to come home.
So do I. And I trust him more than Chapman gives me JWS, which is John Wetland syndrome.
I remember.
Remember?
I remember.
Watching him pitch, it was like half a heart attack every day.
It was.
They would lead by 4. He would give up 3 runs, load the bases, and then save the game.
Yep.
It's like, you're killing me, dude.
Judge, get out. Ball game, baby. Let's go. That's the MVP right there.
Walk-off home run for
yes.
This is awesome. Man. Unbelievable.
Let's
This is coming out tomorrow morning, but celebrating the walk-off while we're recording is freaking.
Yes. Yeah, that was
phenomenal, dude.
Yeah. Love it, baby. We needed it.
Let's go.
I'll tell you what, Jason, he's going to get paid.
Yeah, he's going to get buku money.
Yeah.
They're going to back up the dunk truck for him and a couple other guys too.
Definitely.
And rightfully so.
Yes.
Rightfully so. Now that we celebrated that, how about Luis Castillo? I actually haven't come to the Yankees. Castillo.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I feel like the Yankees may give up a top tier guy to get Luis Castillo. I could see them, sending, some guys. I don't know. I would love them to get rid of Aaron Hicks. I just love them to just trade Aaron Hicks in that. I don't think anyone's taking this contract, but I think the Yankees would give up a Protz or like one of their top tier prospects to get Luis Castillo. And like I said, I know a lot of Yankee fans and even Cashman, and I don't understand this either, because they'll hold on to their prospects, but they never give them an opportunity, and they kind of bury him in the minors like they did with Esteban Florial. You got Florial, he's one of the top Yankee prospects, and then you give Hicks a 7-year, $70 million deal. And what are you going to do? And not that Clint Frazier was our guy. I mean, we got him, I believe, from the Indians in the Andrew Miller deal.
Yep.
And he got buried. They never let him play. So to me, as I said, when you have a chance to win a World Series, you go out and you get proven guys that can play at the major league level, as opposed to a guy that may be good 3 or 4 years from now. So if you go out and get Castillo and you win a World Series and you have to give up a Peraza for him, and Peraza ends up being a really good player for the Reds, I don't think anybody's going to go, oh man, I wish we would have given that World Series back and kept Peraza here. So I think Cashman's going. I think Cashman's going for it this year. It's been a long time, and I could definitely see him going to the Yankees or the Dodgers. I could definitely see the Dodgers making a run at Luis Castillo to strengthen their starting rotation without a doubt. So I think those two teams would definitely be in on him.
I could also see the Blue Jays coming and sneaking up and getting him. That one would suck. That would suck. But my initial prediction is the Yankees. I think Cashman's going to do what he needs to do. He'll give up what he needs to give up, because this is the guy that you need. We need the guy behind Cole. We can't have a 1 and a bunch of 4s. Can't do it against Houston. The Mets, forget it. If DeGrom is healthy, forget about it.
Yeah, Scherzer and DeGrom. I mean,
it's like a nightmare.
Scherzer and DeGrom. Cole and Castillo ain't Scherzer and DeGrom, but they're close.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you know what? I'll tell you a guy that could go in that deal to Castillo is Domingo Herman. I think the Yankees, I talked about this last night. Herman actually didn't do bad, but I think Herman's almost like the Yankees have such a big lead in the AL East. And it's kind of like, let's see what he has. Maybe we can showcase him for a team to take his arm down the stretch. And I could definitely see the Yankees giving up a prospect and a guy like Domingo Herman for Luis Castillo, because I don't think Herman's going to be on the major of the postseason roster. So I could see something like that.
I could too. And I would be fine with it. I mean, even if they added Chapman to a deal and sent him back to Cincinnati where he was a god.
Right.
And then somehow got, Alexis Diaz or one of their relievers here, and you give up an extra prospect. I mean, Cashman did it a few years ago. He's like, if you want my Brian Mitchell, my top prospect, you got to take Chase Headley's $13 million with it.
Yeah.
He did that to the Padres. They got a top prospect and he unloaded these $13 million bucks off the, like, he's good at that stuff. So
yep.
I could see them expanding this trade with Cincinnati. I really could.
Yep.
To what degree, I don't know, but I could see something happening where we wouldn't just be Castillo for prospects or whatever.
Yep.
So
right.
I'd be curious to see if they really expand this and try to address the bullpen at the same time in one trade. So yeah. That's what I'm most fascinated with. That's I'm hoping is the next domino to fall.
Same here, man.
I think Soto's probably gonna be the last one. It's gonna be the last minute of the deadline. Somebody's gonna try to come in, or they're gonna wait for somebody to come in and blow everybody away, something like that. They want somebody to blink, right? It's just so that's where I'm seeing it. But Castillo is the guy for me. How about this Daniel Bard? This guy, former super prospect with the Red Sox, he's now the closer. He missed like 5 years, and then he's back at like 37 years old, throwing darts. And for the Rockies as the closer. I think I have my fears he's going to go to the Mets. And it'd be a super arm in the bullpen and just the perfect 8th inning guy for Diaz.
Yep. 2
just nasty throwers and back into the bullpen. They got 1. They need 2.
Yep. I agree. I think the Mets are going to be, I think you're going to see the Mets and Yankees be extremely active, not just because they're going to be in competition with one another to try to get the back page of the New York Times, or not the New York Times, or the Post, or whatever, the back page of the New York City papers. And, they're both really good. I mean, that's the thing. Both of them probably feel like they have a legitimate shot to win the World Series, and both of them do. So obviously you want to make your team the best it can possibly be. And the Mets relief is not great outside of their closer, and he's filthy. Bard is kind of funny. Bard reminds me of Melancon a little bit. The Yankees used to have Mark Melancon, and he was really nothing here. And then he became a pretty damn good closer. But I agree with you. I mean, I think you're going to see New York go heavy after these pitchers. And I definitely could see Bard ending up in the Mets pen, which, like I said, would suck. But, we'll have to wait and see. The Mets are going to, the Mets, to me, the Yankees seem like they'd have an easier road to the World Series. Houston's going to be our big roadblock. We can't beat Houston. We haven't beat Houston. We have to find a way to beat Houston. But the Mets, they're going to have to battle with the Braves all year. Like, we pretty much have this division sewed up already, barring an epic collapse. But the Mets are in for a fight. And they
Uh-huh.
obviously want to get that bye. They don't want to end up as a wild card team. So I think the Mets are going to be extremely active to try to hold off the Braves.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they'd probably have to play the Braves in the playoffs,
Yeah.
Dodgers. So they'd have a little bit tougher road, I think. But Bard would be a perfect fit for the Mets.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I think the extra depth will be able to keep guys fresh for the Mets.
Yep.
And even though it's only a 26 roster, they'll have enough guys that they can rotate in and out to, especially down the stretch, to keep guys fresh. And I think keeping these guys healthy, I think when the Yankees are fully healthy, they're going to be formidable. And the Mets are fully healthy, they're going to be formidable. Neither one of them has been 100% healthy for the season. So it's just been that way. And, and unfortunately for us, it's usually the starting rotation that gets decimated. Now it's the bullpen.
Yeah, bullpen's been messed up all year.
Yeah, so we need some reinforcements, man. I like that Benetendi to me is like the cavalry has come on the offense. We need the horses to come with the cavalry and the pitching side.
Definitely.
We need it. I need my Mel Gibson from Patriot to come here and like to fucking save the day. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I do. I need him to come here with the music and the horse and just coming in to save the day. So I'm hoping that happens, but we'll see. It's going to come right down to the wire.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's keep it going. We got a couple of guys left. How about Shawn Murphy? I think he's going to be one of the A's pieces that gets moved. Him and Montez at the very least. I think they're going to move to maybe Ramon Laureano, but Shawn Murphy to me is another one of these catchers with several years. He also has 2 high-end prospects right behind him, so it makes sense for them to move him. Tyler Soderstrom is their top prospect, and they just got Shea Langoliers and the Matt Olson trade. So 2 guys that could just easily replace him.
Yeah.
So to me, and with a rebuilding A's, this gives them an opportunity to get a lot of capital back and move them to a place. I think Cleveland's a perfect place for them.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland's right in the thick of things. So, again, I can't sit here and tell you I'm keen on the catcher from the A's because I listen, man. I don't get to watch a lot of West Coast baseball, and even when I did, no offense to A's fans out there, but the A's were not like somebody else. Usually it was the Dodgers because I loved listening to Vin Scully. That was a big thing, or the Angels because of Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. Or even the Padres, because of their young talent, Fernando Tatis Jr. and obviously Manny Machado, and they're a really good, exciting young team. So I don't see a lot of A's baseball, so it's hard for me to tell you what I think would happen with that trade, just because I don't know enough about him, and I don't really know who needs catching. So if you say Cleveland, who is right on the border of making a wild card or in that wild card fight, and they need an upgraded catcher, then I would just agree with you. But I really just don't know. I can't sit there and tell you I know much about that.
I hear you. I mean, it's a couple of teams like the Mets, the Braves, the Astros, and Cleveland. To me, the most identifiable teams. To me, Willson Contreras is just a natural fit with the Mets.
Yeah, I think he's
crossing them off the board.
Yeah,
and so I could see Cleveland or even Atlanta Braves. I don't know if he's as good of a fit with Houston as Willson Contreras is. So Houston might go up elsewhere. I don't know. I know I had this talking trying to get Josh Bell, some other guys. So I just know what Houston's going to do. And they're also getting Lance McCullers back in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So that's an acquisition in itself.
Yes.
They're going to be even better. So I'm plugging them over in Cleveland or Atlanta, Shawn Murphy. So how about Martin Perez? I think he's an underrated left-handed pitcher that might be a difference maker on a team that acquires him. And to me, I have him going to San Francisco. Yeah. It's a good fit there to me.
Yeah. I mean, any team needs left-handed arms. So again, you get through any of the contenders out there, but he probably goes out to the West Coast, and the Giants are, again, but the extra wild card, the extra playoff teams, like so many teams are involved.
Yeah, I know.
In this, so it is insane, but obviously the Giants want to hang on and get in there, and the Dodgers are kind of running away with that division. So, it's the Dodgers and everybody else. But the other thing is, if you can get that solid left-handed pitcher and you get into the postseason, anything can happen. Anything can happen in a 5-game series. So, I mean, I can definitely see the Giants making a run at him and strengthening their starting rotation without a doubt. Because, again, they're going to have to face the Dodgers. It's not going to be easy, but the more arms you have, the better chance you have to win, especially in the postseason.
Yeah, Mike, I agree. Well, let's finish off with the elephant in the room, Mr. Juan Soto. What do you think? What's your gut telling you? Do you think they're actually going to get what they're asking for from anybody? What's What's your mind telling you?
So what are they asking? Like 6 top prospects? I thought
Something like that. They want a combination of like 5 or 6 players, mostly prospects, and then some young, controllable major leaguers.
So obviously getting Benetendi throws us out of the mix. And I thought Juan Soto was a long shot for us anyway. I'd be scared that he goes to the Mets. I don't think the Mets are getting him either, though. I don't think Soto is getting traded this year. I have a feeling he's not going to get traded this year. I feel like that could be an off-season type of thing. But I heard the favorites are the St. Louis Cardinals, and that would be pretty unbelievable if you put him with St. Louis, put him back with Albert Pujols and Goldschmidt, those guys.
Arenado.
Yeah, I mean, Soto and St. Louis, that the NL Central's up for grabs. It's not like the Brewers have a lock on that division. The heart tells me that Soto doesn't get moved this season, but if he did, I think St. Louis would be the team that he would end up with. They always find a way to make these moves and get these big name guys. And listen, man, they have a great fan base in St. Louis. They find ways to do it. So that's where I think he would end up if he got traded this year.
That's a good one. I'm starting to think about the Cardinals more often too. I've got to pick to the Dodgers just because of their willingness to fork over prospects.
Yeah.
They've got 7 of the top 10. The GM is willing to spend and do the things that Cashman doesn't generally like to do.
Yeah.
So, they did that for Trey Turner and Max Scherzer. Like, these guys go bold. And since they lost some guys, I could see them going bold with the capacity and the wherewithal to extend him for big dollars too.
Yes, they could. Yeah.
The team I think that should get him is the Padres. We were talking about it earlier. Yeah, I think the Padres have a chip on the shoulder. Like, no, you guys took Max Scherzer from us by the deadline last year. We were this close to getting him. We're taking Juan Soto from you guys now. Okay. Yeah. And we're going to put him there in between Tatis and Machado. That's going to be the most terrifying top 3 you ever seen.
That would be ridiculous, man.
Like,
that would be scary.
Oh, God. So I hope the Padres do it. I think the Dodgers will, but you never know. Crazy things happen. So
they do. Yeah, man. Him on the Dodgers too. I mean, like I said, they always have a ton of prospects, and they're certainly not afraid to trade prospects and give players big contracts. We saw Betts, they gave him almost $400 million. So it's not like money's an object for Los Angeles either. So that is definitely, I mean, that's a possibility too. But like I said, my heart tells me he's not going this year. Maybe off season he gets traded when they have more time to negotiate with more teams. But I'm sure, and they can figure out exactly what they want, because it's not like Soto's a free agent and he's going to walk away at the end of the year. So they do have time to get the best possible deal that they can get. And I think if you're the Nationals, you want to take your time and get the absolute most possible you can get. So if you get into the off season next year, there might be some teams that are out of it that aren't going to go after him this year, but next year they feel like, hey, if we get Juan Soto, we could take that step, maybe like Baltimore say. I mean, I'm not saying that he would go to Baltimore, but it's funny because they're like right in the same area there. But maybe a team like the Orioles says, you know what? We were this close. We got up to 500, or this close to making the wild card. A guy like Juan Soto puts us over the top and makes us compete in the AL East, especially in that ballpark, even though they moved the fences back, which they should have left the fences alone. But I'm not saying that like Baltimore go out and get him, but a team like Baltimore that's that close and maybe just needs that superstar to get competitive again after a long layoff of just being terrible. So I don't think he goes this year, but Cardinals and Dodgers, if he does, one of those 2 teams.
Probably the right teams to go to too.
Yes.
Just well-run teams, and it's surrounded with great guys and great fans and whatnot. Be a hell of a placement, but I think I would agree if they might wait until the offseason to get more teams in a bidding war.
Yep.
And
yes.
I don't think they found enough teams with an appetite to take on Corbin's contract anyway. Not right now, at least during this climate. So, because they can easily pivot to other guys at the trade deadline, whereas in the offseason it'd be a little bit different. So, the game planning is different for that type of stuff. So, I agree, man. I agree.
This was my take on this. I'd be interested in your take of why he turned that money down. People are like, how do you turn down $440 million? To me, I don't believe Juan Soto feels like he's worth more than $440 million. What I do feel like is that Juan Soto two things. Number one, he does not want to play his whole career in Washington. We saw Bryce Harper leave. We saw Trey Turner leave. We've seen guys leave. We saw Anthony Rendon leave. We've seen great players leave Washington. So maybe Juan Soto just does not want to be a National for the rest of his career, or perhaps he doesn't want a 15-year deal. He's 23. He'll be a free agent when he's 25. Mm-hmm. So maybe he wants a 7-year deal for $300 million for 7 years. And then he's just like kind of at the end of his prime, and he could get another big contract for another 6-year deal, maybe 108. By the time he's that age, maybe it's 240, maybe he gets another $40 million a year for 6 years. So instead of getting 440 for 15 years, perhaps he gets 600 million for the next 15 years if he does it properly. So those are the reasons I thought that maybe he said, I don't want the 440. But the big one is, I feel like he's like, I don't want to play my entire career in Washington. I want to have other opportunities. I want to explore my options instead of committing to this team for the rest of my career, kind of like Trout did with the Angels.
Yeah. And to your point, I mean, a contract shorter or something like a 10 or 12-year deal with an opt-out at 6 years. So he can come back on the market at 29.
Yep.
30.
Good point.
Get another big deal.
Good point.
Right. And again, this is Scott Boras. Scott Boras wants to overpay in free agency. He wants to set new markets.
Yes.
If he stays healthy and stays productive, he can keep setting the market with Soto. He can set twice.
Yep.
So, right. So that's a Scott Boras thing. And so I can understand the representation there and why they would be on the same page. But I agree. I mean, a 15-year deal seems a little crazy. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he wants to be in Washington either. I think he wants to go somewhere that's going to give him a chance to win on the regular and to be part of something bigger. I think the window of opportunity closed with the Nationals, right?
Yeah, he won a World Series there, and now he's probably like, you know what, let me go somewhere else where I know that they're going to compete every year.
Yeah, I mean, Strasburg's great, but Scherzer was a bulldog. Okay, a bulldog of bulldogs. So he's not going back to Washington. And I think he probably wants to be surrounded by more guys like that. And I can't see them doing that at Nationals.
Well, you mentioned Strasburg. I think that's another thing. I think whoever takes Soto is going to have to take one of those bad pitching coaches, Strasburg or Corbin, one of the guys they give, hundreds of millions of dollars to. I think that would also be a part in the Soto deals that we'll trade you Soto for all these prospects. You're taking Strasburg's contract. I mean, the guy hasn't pitched any at all. He's kind of useless at this point. Sucks because he was a great pitcher, but obviously he's not worth his contract. So Washington looking to clear up space and make some money for other players, probably like, we'll give you Soto. You're taking that deal. You're taking that contract too, which is why he would go to a bigger market team if he got traded this year. I think that's part of something they would do. They'd want to unload Strasburg or Corbin.
I was actually floored when Hal Steinbrenner said he'd be willing to take Corbin's contract to facilitate it. I was floored. But if I'm Cashman, I'm saying, okay, we'll take Corbin. You're taking Donaldson. You're taking Hicks.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Even Donaldson and Hicks combined is still less than what Corbin's going to cost by himself. Yeah. Okay. Yes. It's got to be that way. Otherwise, we can't have a deal.
Yep.
Okay. You're going to get 2 expiring contracts. So we're taking Corbin's $60 million for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
It's got to be that way. Otherwise, I want Volpe back.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. But Dominguez back. It's got to be that way. There's got to be some kind of trade-off. And you're still giving you Waldichuk and taking on Corbin. No.
Yeah. No. I would love them to be able to move Donaldson the hell out of here. Yeah. I just don't like. I do not like Josh Donaldson. I don't like the guy. I don't think he's a winning ball player personally. They say he's edgy. He's got this and that. Yeah, man, that may be true. But can he hit? Because I haven't seen the man hit outside of game 1 when he got the game-winning single to start off the year. What has he done?
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point, man. It's
one thing for him to hit 220 and 225 and give you 30 homers like he was giving you in Minnesota or Toronto or whatever. But to come here and hit 9 home runs, Matt Carpenter's got 5 more homers than this guy. He's played about a fourth of the games and he doesn't get paid anything.
Yeah. And he's on the dollar. So.
Right. That's what I mean. So Josh Johnson's been a major disappointment. He's getting my wrath as he used to be Gary Sanchez and Aaron Hicks. Aaron Hicks is always good. But listen, Hicks is not good, but Donaldson is so bad right now that I have more faith in Aaron Hicks than I do Josh Donaldson. Every time Donaldson comes up, I feel like he's going to make it now.
It's like the last month and a half, he's been the right-handed Joey Gallo.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Right? We have 2 Joey Gallos in the lineup right now. I'm like, we gotta fix this, man.
Yeah, and he hits in the middle of the lineup. Stop putting him in the middle of the lineup.
Yeah.
Please put him at the bottom of the order.
Yeah. Can't bat him 5th, man. We can't do that. Can't.
Can't
It's
back.
like, come on, guys. So I'm hoping the Benetendi shakes things up and pushes like down a little further. Because now you can bat like Stanton fifth or something like that. And then you get Judge third, Rizzo fourth, Stanton fifth. And like we can maneuver things a little bit differently.
Right.
So hopefully this creates the better opportunity.
Yeah, it'll make the lineup a lot longer.
Yeah.
And to me, I mean, DJ didn't play tonight. But man, you get DJ LeMahieu and Andrew Benetendi at the top of your order. I mean, you got two guys that are 300 hitters. You got contact hitters with the big boppers, Rizzo, Judge, and Stanton. So the top of your order is going to be great, and then you could bat a guy like Carpenter sixth, and then whatever. Then you got Glaber sixth and Carpenter seventh. All of a sudden, your lineup is extremely long because you got a guy like Benintendi in there. You don't have the hole out there like Joey Gallo.
It's true, very true, man. Dude, this was awesome, man. I love chatting with the stuff with you and chatting about the stuff with you. And this was phenomenal, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on.
No, I listen, man. I love what you do. A lot of times I'm in the chat. Like a lot of times I go into people's lives and I really don't say, I just kind of sit there and listen, or like I check out your videos. I don't always comment, but that one that I was in there, I was like, you know what, man, I'm like, I like this guy. I got to work with you sometime. And it was a lot of fun, man. I know you're a big Yankee fan. Like, congratulations on the birth of your daughter. That is absolutely awesome. I mean, I love it. It's fantastic.
Appreciate
and
that.
I wish we could have done it sooner, but I know we're both really busy guys. If you any parents out there, if any parents that go out and you work and you coach and you do this and you do that, it's tough to get time. But Jason, I'd love to do it again. Before the season ends or whatever.
Be a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you. And guys and gals, if you haven't checked out Baddog channel, go check it out, man. This is like, if you want an awesome channel, check out Baddog channel. This is one of the best channels out there, man. I mean, really, really is. The content's phenomenal. You could see the conversation we had. So if you want high-end quality, great content, go check him out. And please support him by subscribing. And you're almost at 100,000 subs, so I want to help you get there if we can.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, we're about 800 away, so we're getting close. I'm thinking football season. Obviously, I'm a big Giants guy. I mean, I'm a Giants and Yankees guy. I couldn't find my Yankee hat. I don't know where it is, so I have the Giants hat on today. Again, I have a 5-year-old, so God only knows where stuff ends up in the house. But yeah, so hopefully, by football season, we hit that 100,000, but I love seeing new content creators come around. And I did say to a lot of guys last year, I was going to make a concerted effort to work with more Yankee content creators, to do more Yankee content, because I love the Yankees. Like, I love the Giants, but the Yankees are my first love. I love them more than any team that I root for. They're in my blood. My favorite thing to do is call a Yankee game because, my dream was always to be a play-by-play guy. I never fulfilled it, but YouTube has allowed me to do play-by-play, which I absolutely love doing. And being able to talk to, with guys like you, I've worked with Pete at NYY News. I've worked with Derek at NYY Recast. I worked with Joe's McFly. So being able to work with the Yankee content creators is awesome because, we all love the Yankees, and we're all hoping like hell we get another World Series. We all know what it feels like to win. So miss that feeling, man. We got to get it back.
Yeah, I'm in withdrawal too. I need a title. I really, really want a title, man. Like, and again, Yankee fan community is one of the most knowledgeable, passionate sports communities out there. So we want to continue to grow and become like a close-knit family. So thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Appreciate you, man. And we'll be going live. This will be published tomorrow. So be spreading out, and and I'm looking forward to working with you again, man. So
absolutely, brother.
Have a great time, a great evening, man. And I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right. Sounds good, brother. Be good.
Man.